Hello. Okay, No One Will Save You. The movie was released over here in the UK on Disney Plus on Friday, and I just love it when someone takes a genre and gives it a twist. For example, with this movie, the first act anyway, it's a home invasion thriller, but with aliens, and I just really dug that. We only get a line of dialogue throughout the entire movie. Instead, the story relies on visuals and the fantastic performance from Kaitlyn as Bryn Adams. She is great in this role and just helps sell the horror and the pain that this character is going through. I found her performance to be really compelling, captivating, and incredibly layered, and that's without barely a word being said. I really dug her performance and she carries this film. From the way the movie is shot to the performance from Kaitlyn, I just found this entire experience to be mesmerising. Almost like a flying saucer is beaming me up in their tractor beam. That's how this entire experience felt to me. Like an actual fucking flying saucer was beaming me up. And I just really dug it. I really dug how the story was told, and through the performance of Kaitlyn, who was simply superb in this movie, I just found myself mesmerised and captivated by the entire experience. And I didn't really know an awful lot about the film before watching it, and I highly recommend everyone else does as well. The film starts as a home invasion movie or an alien invasion movie, and it sort of wastes no time get into that once the character is set up, and they do a very good job at setting up this character without barely a word being said. But once the story evolves, it becomes a much deeper, intense and layered experience that just literally kept me immersed and captivated throughout the entire time that I was watching this film right until the end. The moments within the first act with the alien in the house are incredibly creepy, incredibly intense. I just love the way in which the scene is played out, and a lot of it is amplified by the gorgeous sound design. Like, the sound design within this movie really does help amplify the horror, but at the same time it sounds alien, but it's also very much rooted in reality as well, which gives the overall experience this kind of grounded feeling that I feel like the film and the story needs. My only kind of issue I have, my one minor gripe that I have with this movie, more with the sort of the first act of this film with the alien in the house, because they do such a great job at creating the horror and the suspense and the creepiness, is we do see a little bit too much of the alien, which takes away from the mystery and the horror a little bit. You know, it's best to allow our imagination to just run wild, because nothing is more scary than our own imagination. It's why the xenomorph from Alien works so effectively, and I just feel like they focused way too much. We saw too much of the alien in those moments. It wasn't enough to take me out to the picture. It wasn't enough, you know, I was already immersed into this story, but it was a minor gripe of mine that we saw too much of it. I did like the design of the alien. I liked how they sort of really leaned into the traditional classic little grey men look of the alien. I like that, and I just really would have liked to have seen that design kind of just utilised in a way where they use a lot of shadows, that we only really see glimpses of it, because that would have been a hell of a lot more terrifying. And as a result of seeing so much of the alien, you see that a lot more CGI is actually being used than I thought they would. Like, I thought they would have relied an awful lot more on practical effects, because it would have kept the movie rooted in reality. For me, it does anyway. I think practical effects is just the way to keep a film grounded, and they do use an awful lot of CGI to bring these creatures to life, and it's very obvious it's CGI as well. So again, that can kind of take away a little bit from the horror. But I think they do such a great job at sort of planning out these scenes and these moments and the way in which they play out. It wasn't enough to really take me out of this experience, but they are minor gripes of mine. So it's into the second and third act that this story evolves and continues to lead you on this very mysterious journey that you never quite know what direction the movie's going in. But one thing I did know for certain, I cared for this character that barely uttered a word, and I was emotionally invested with this character's journey. And it's within the second and third act of this movie that you start to realise that this is more than just an alien invasion movie, and it's more of about a journey of a character that has found herself incredibly isolated within the world, with a past that haunts her, and you get hints of this throughout the story. And remember, there's only one line of dialogue throughout this entire movie. The story is told through visuals, characters' interactions and emotions, and you feel it. You feel that pain and that isolation. The movie is shot in a way that just mirrors it beautifully. By the movie's conclusion, I was a little bit uncertain by what the overall message was, but the more I reflected, the more I just appreciated what this film was doing and the experience that I had just had. I really enjoyed it, and it's because of the layers and so the way in which the narrative is played out, and the beautiful performance from Kaitlyn, just the entire way in which the film was and the story was told. It kept me immersed, and I just found myself appreciating this film the more I reflected on it. It's a movie that wants you to think and dig deeper. It first gets you to care about our sole main character that you're going to follow throughout this entire experience. Then it has you constantly wondering and thinking about where this journey is going. It keeps you immersed because you care about the character, and this is down to the beautiful setup of the character. And like I said, it kind of just goes back to how this entire experience feels, which is almost like you're stuck in, the tractor beam of a flying, saucer. There are some real deep human themes running throughout this movie. Alienation, being alienated, isolated, loneliness, guilt. And those are the big major themes that I felt were running through this movie. The aliens on surface level are just alien invaders, but the more I reflected on the story, even my perspective of the aliens within this film started to shift, and sort of what their agenda and their motivations were. And I'm not going to say too much because I want this to be a spoiler-free review, and I think it's up to you guys, whoever it is that watches this film, if you decide to watch it, to really kind of come up with sort of your own interpretation of what this story is telling you, what the messages are. But the more I reflected and the more I dug, sort of just my entire perspective of the entire, when it comes to the aliens, their motivations, it just really started to shift for me, and it became a much more deeper and layered experience that is one that I'm definitely going to revisit multiple times. I feel a lot of people are going to dissect this movie and come to different varying conclusions based on their sort of perspective and experience of this film. And again, it's one of the reasons why I appreciate it. I think the film is going to mean more to different people. It's going to emotionally hit in different ways to different people. Like the way it hit me emotionally, I think it's not going to have the same effect on perhaps other people. I think it is so layered that depending on who you are, I just think, and how you kind of experience this film and this story, it's definitely going to sort of affect you in a different way. And I don't think there's one right answer to what this message or the conclusion of the film is trying to tell you. This movie manages to say so much with only a line of dialogue being said throughout it, and I dug that. Depending on your experience and your perspective of this character's journey, I think it's going to mean something to you personally in a different way to how it might affect another person, which almost makes this experience personal to you, I feel. Like I said, I don't think the film is going to hit everyone the same way when it comes to the messages and the sort of the overall story. Her story, our main character's story, it really resonated with me. When I realised what I felt the story was telling me personally, I shed a tear. It pulled on the heartstrings. For me personally, this was a heartbreaking, sad, tragic story that does kind of end on a happy note from a certain perspective. And that's me trying to keep this as spoiler-free as possible. So yeah, they are my thoughts on No One Will Save You. I highly recommend it, and I will be giving No One Will Save You an 8.5 out of 10. So yeah, there are my thoughts on No One Will Save You. Have you seen it yet? If you have, did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you agree or disagree with anything I've said? Please let me know in the comments below and let's get a discussion going. And if you've made it this far into the video, then thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. If you want to see future reviews from a Welsh geek just rambling on, then please hit the subscribe button. It will mean an awful lot to me. My next review should be for Ahsoka episode 7, and you've got the creator coming out towards the end of the week. I'm really looking forward to the creator. I'm a big fan of Gareth Edwards. He's a fellow Welshie and I'm just a big fan of his directing style. I am going to a secret screening on Wednesday where the signs are hinting that it might be the creator, so I might be getting a slight advance showing of it. So yeah, thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll be catching you guys soon.